What's up, guys? How's it going? It's Matt here. So I'm going to do this video for you guys about dry fire practice and the importance of it, guys. So I'm going to cover a couple things. Here it is. Alright guys, so I don't know about you, but I kind of get sick and tired of hearing my favorite channels out there, training channels out there, talking about the importance of getting specific training and just being able to shoot, and having slight training isn't what you need. What you need is to come down to my class, and you need to take my class, which is a $500 class, and you have to bring $1,000 ammo with you, and you have to drive across the country, which costs about $1,000 for room and board to go over there and take the class. But you need to come and take my class to be trained and be good at this stuff. I hear this all the time, and a lot of people hear it all the time, and the problem is, guys, yes, training is important. Training is absolutely important. But the one thing, these schools, don't get me wrong, there are some good schools, there's some great trainers out there. But the biggest thing you got to remember, these schools are trying to get your business. They're trying to get your business, and they want you to drive across the country and spend all the money on their class so they get more revenue that comes in. Now, don't get me wrong, you can learn a lot from these classes, but in actual real life home defense, not just home defense, but home defense, out and about civilian world defense, you don't need to be an infantryman, alright? So in a lot of these classes, that's what they teach you to do. They teach you to be an infantryman and how to move under suppressive fire and how to bring up your heart rate while you're shooting and moving and diving on the floor and shooting from the floor and shooting from all this other stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's some pretty good training that you could take from it. But here's the thing, guys. If you just look around in your area, in your general area, within a certain radius of your house. You do research, whether it's online, newspapers, whatever it is. I guarantee you could find trainers, people that have been training people how to defend themselves for a very long time. You can find that in your town, and they can teach you the basics for a lot cheaper, and you get so much from their classes that you could take, so much so that you don't actually have to spend like $2,000, $3,000 just to go across the country and take one class for 2 days, alright? So I guarantee you, if you look around locally, you will find people that will help you out. Now, on another note, guys, like I said, these tactical training schools, they're great schools. You get a lot of skills from it. You can learn a lot of skills from it in general. But I just wanted to let you know, you don't need the trainer to be a prior Special Forces operator or Navy SEAL or Delta Force and 15, 20 years in law enforcement. There's a lot of good civilians out there too, guys. It's like I might get hate from this, of course. I get hate for this stuff all the time. So yeah, I have a military background, so who am I to talk about? I was just a straight up infantryman. But you could find some civilians out there. He could be an accountant for all you know, but he is invested time into training, and he is a really good marksmanship. He could be an IDPA shooter, and he can be a good teacher, and he could teach you some good things. The basics of home defense, weapons handling, weapons manipulation, which is like, drawing, loading, unloading, malfunction. He can teach you that stuff probably for a lot cheaper of a price, and he can teach you just as well as some of these other instructors. There are people out there. Now, on the other note, so one of the most important things, I hear this, one of the guys I like to follow, he's a tactical school trainer, but Reed Hendricks, a lot of guys like to follow him. He's a great guy, down-to-earth guy, prior service Marine, prior service law enforcement, also professor. And he owns Valor Ridge, and that's where he trains. I remember watching one of his videos, and he said the part that bothers him the most is he puts a lot of time and effort into these guys that come to this course. Like I said, these trainers are good schools, all right? I'm not hitting these schools; these are good schools. But he says one of his biggest pet peeves is, I remember his exact quotes, was after he spent 2 days training these guys, at the end, he sees them take their gun, unload it, clear the chamber, put it in a box, put it in their trunk, and drive away. Now, in his mind, he's even said, he's told people, when you're done with these, if you're going to come back for another class, I want you to do dry fire practice. You need to come to that. And even if you're not going to come back, do dry fire practice, and they just don't. People just don't. And he says that bothers him because he put all this time and effort into training them and they don't continue it. Now, look, training is great, but if you spend 1 to 2 days at a high school, you know, an awesome quality training school, you can learn a lot of good stuff out of it. But then you go home and you don't practice anymore, you don't dry fire practice, you don't do anything, you're going to lose every single thing that you learned in that class. Now, here's a message for you guys. Military guys get so good at weapons handling and manipulations and reloads and malfunctions and firing, not from live fire on the range, but at dry fire practice. We would spend hours upon hours when we were deployed, unloaded magazines, unloaded rifles, doing magazine reloads, function checks. We'd be doing malfunctions non-stop. We'd be on a line. We'd do it for hours at end. Every single day. We would do this literally every single day for like an hour in the morning or maybe a couple hours, depending on however long a sergeant wanted to do it. And that is how we got good at it, because for every one shot that you have fired, you've probably had to shoot probably about 1,000 dry fire practice to be that good at it. IDPA shooters don't get their skills by the range. They get it by dry fire practice and then the range. All right. If you go dry fire practice 6 days a week and then you shoot 1 day a week, what do you think's going to benefit most out of the training? Now, don't be wrong. Shooting's important. You need to get your marksmanship down, but basic weapons handling, manipulations, drawing from the holster, reholstering, that can be done in your house. Okay, and all it costs is go out and buy yourself a few snap caps, and that's it for your specific caliber, and you can do every single thing when it comes to it. But anyway, guys, so here's a little from my dry fire practice. All right. What's that? Alright, there's my training session, guys. So, as you guys saw in the video, is my two primary concealed carry firearms are my Sig Sauer P250 and my Taurus 38 Special Protector Poly. Now, I carry those both all the time, almost evenly amount when I carry them. So if you notice when I was doing the practice, I did both. I practiced with my Sig and I also practiced with my revolver. So I've been working a little bit extra harder on my revolver, on my speed loads, because I'm still trying to learn it and trying to get it good, but I'm getting a lot better at it. As you can see in the video, I'm doing them pretty decently. But if you carry your guns, you have to be efficient with them. Now, a lot of people freak out with this when when they're doing it with their semi-automatics, because you drop your magazines. A lot of people, I've seen it in their dry fire sessions, they don't want to drop the magazines because they're worried that it's going to damage the springs or damage the magazines. Guys, in the Marine Corps, we said we train as we fight, all right? You train as you fight, all right? So do exactly what you do in a combat zone. If you train to, oh, I'm going to do it like this, then guess what? That's what's going to happen. But if you train to unload, boom, and you're up in the fight better, that's what's going to happen in real life. So what I do, a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people freak out about this, and I have issues with it too every now and then. Is I have this really heavy-duty, thick yoga mat that I never use for my yoga. I have a thinner one that I use for the yoga because that one's just too squishy. Then I put that underneath me, and I have it specifically for my dry fire practice. So when I drop the magazines and they come out, they hit it, and it's a soft landing, all right? So that's one thing that you might want to take into consideration. But anyway, guys, dry fire practice is so freaking important, guys. You have to practice, all right? For every one round that you fire at the range, you should have dry fire practice about 500 at home, and that's how you get your marksmanship back up, your marksmanship levels back up. For every magazine change that you've done in the real world, you've probably had to do 1,000, I'm not joking, 1,000 magazine changes in dry fire practice to get efficient at it. A lot of people are like, oh, that's crazy. No, it isn't, guys. If you spend like a dedicated hour every night, half hour to an hour, that's all you got, half hour to an hour every single night doing magazine changes. First, I always start out with my dry fire section. I always start out with a draw, all right? It's important to be able to draw it. Then I move on to magazine changes. Then when I'm done with my magazine changes, then I move to malfunctions. Right? And I cover both malfunctions, stovepipes and double feeds. They're both important malfunctions that you need to work on. So I do this. I dedicate myself to this daily, and you should do the same, because you need to get this down so good that if something ever happens in real life, that you don't even have to think about what you're doing. You just do it in a heartbeat, guys. All right, so I guarantee you have 30 minutes to an hour a day, or at night, or early in the morning, that you can dedicate specifically to dry fire practice. So go out, get yourself some snap caps, all right? Those are little fake bullets that you can put into them for your specific calibers, however many you want. You don't need a ton. Get yourself some snap caps, all right? And practice, guys. It's important to practice, because if you want to be efficient in real world, then you need to be efficient in practice, because we practice as we train. All right, guys, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about me, and remember, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Peace.